For joining us this hour. It has been a bad day for Donald Trump. This morning, he was sued by New York's Attorney General, a lawsuit that could potentially put him out of business in the state of New York. And tonight, just in the last few hours, Trump has suffered a legal setback in a different case, the one regarding the materials seized from his Florida beach club. An appeals court has ruled that the Justice Department can have access to roughly 100 highly sensitive classified documents that were taken from Mar-a-Lago. Trump has been arguing that all the documents seized from his club are his personal property, and that if the FBI found anything classified in there, well, Trump magically declassified it when he was president, even though he has no record of ever having done that. Trump got a lower court judge, Eileen Cannon, who he appointed, to agree that a special master should go through all the documents. And in a ruling that was widely ridiculed, Cannon said that while the special master is going through all those documents, the Justice Department is not allowed to look at the classified documents or to use them in a criminal investigation into Trump having the documents at his beach club in the first place. But tonight, 3 judges on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, 2 of them Trump appointees, have brushed back that lower court judge, Eileen Cannon, and said that, yes, the Justice Department can indeed have access to those classified documents after all. The judges write in their opinion, quote, "For our part, we cannot discern why plaintiff Trump would have an individual interest in or need for any of the 100 documents with classification markings. A person may have access to classified information only if, among other requirements, he has a need to know the information. This requirement pertains equally to former presidents." And as to Trump's argument that he secretly, magically declassified the documents at some point, the judges write, quote, "The declassification argument is a red herring because declassifying an official document would not change its content or render it personal. So even if we assume that plaintiff Trump did declassify some or all of these documents, that would not explain why he has a personal interest in them." This ruling is really a pretty full-throated rebuke of Eileen Cannon's ruling in Trump's favor. And it also seems like it allows the Justice Department to immediately resume its investigation into Trump for hoarding these classified documents in the very first place. Joining us now to help understand all of this is Barbara McQuaid, former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Barb, thanks so much for joining me and helping us all decipher the import of this most recent ruling here from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. It seems like a very big win for the Department of Justice. It seems like, to the casual observer, a rebuke of Eileen Cannon down in the district court. How did you read all of this, and what happens next?
Yeah, same. A resounding victory for the Justice Department, and also a very swift victory. They filed their reply brief only yesterday, and immediately we saw the appeals court issue this ruling. I was a little stunned to see it come out so quickly, frankly, but the language is very strong. They explain why classified documents are so incredibly sensitive and incredibly important, and not only removing these from the special master's review, but saying, of course, this is inextricably intertwined with a criminal investigation. You can't possibly separate the two. Let you get back to work. Here you go. Take your documents and go. I would imagine this will take effect immediately. Now, Donald Trump has some options here. He could file an appeal, as you were just mentioning, with the full 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. That's an en banc review for the full court to look at. That could happen. And I suppose from there, one could even go to the Supreme Court. But this is such a loser, such a losing issue. I have to imagine even those decisions would be done very swiftly because of the recognized harm to national security that occurs every day, every minute that goes by, that the Justice Department does not have the ability to investigate the disclosure of these documents.
You know, Trump clearly was rolling the dice here, or at least his legal representatives were. They got a very favorable ruling initially from Eileen Cannon. The 11th Circuit, 6 of the 11 judges seated on that court are Trump appointees. Perhaps they thought the math was in their favor. But as the document shows us, being a Trump appointee did not seem to matter here. 2 of the judges who ruled on this were Trump appointees. 1 was an Obama appointee. And this was a per curiam order, which means no particular judge takes credit for this. And that is meaningful, do you think, Barb, in terms of showing judicial solidarity, as it were?
I don't know their motive in doing that, but I think it does. You know, to the extent people like to think of the world as Trump judges or Obama judges, it's a great moment for the rule of law that the courts held. You know, we saw this back in the 2020 election when all of these frivolous lawsuits, baseless lawsuits, were being filed all around the country to try to get the election thrown out in various states. And the courts held in 64 lawsuits. The Trump team failed to succeed in these frivolous lawsuits. And that's because our courts held, even at Trump appointees. And so I think it's really heartening to see here, once again, you know, we had that bump in the road with Judge Cannon. I don't know what her motives were, but she issued what, you know, really seemed like a nonsensical opinion. And now to see these three judges, two of whom are Trump appointees, you know, completely reject those frivolous arguments, I think is a very reassuring day for the rule of law.
And we like to hear that. So if, in other words, if Trump's team does not make another move, the Justice Department could have these classified documents back in their possession. Well, they are in their possession, but they could begin continuing to use them. And also the intelligence community assessment, ODNI, that investigation, that assessment could continue as well. Very important for national security. Barb, in a minute, I want to get your thoughts on the other major news from Trump legal world that's happened today. So hang with us, if you might. It is